Welcome to the No Mom is an Island podcast. As moms, we often long for moments of being alone, but the truth is sometimes we feel downright lonely. The intention of this podcast is to show you that you aren't alone, that we all experience similar things along this mothering journey. If you enjoy this podcast, please check out the episode description for easy ways that you can help this podcast continue. Well, multitasking masters, whatever you are doing while you listen to this podcast, we hope you enjoy hearing the story of another mom. Today we welcome Kathy. Hi, Kathy. How are you today?
Hi, Andy. I'm good. How are you?
Good. So, listeners, if you noticed, Kathy called me Andy. That's a name that people who are close to me call me. Kathy is a friend of mine through my sister, so she's actually a really good friend of my sister's, and a consequence of that was she became really good friends with me. So I am really excited that she has finally allowed me to interview her. I may have been harassing her for a little while, and I'm pretty sure my sister has been harassing her too. So apparently it worked. The sisters ganged up on her, and she finally agreed. So Kathy, I appreciate it. It is a privilege to talk to you about mothering, but it's been really fun to just talk to you today since we live on opposite sides of Pennsylvania. I also have to say that Mandy and Kathy have been harassing me about coming to Pittsburgh again, and I would love to. I just don't know when that is going to happen. So actually a lot of...
Sometime soon.
Yes, I hope so too. Quite a few of my guests recently have been from Pittsburgh, and so, maybe all of you will have to catch up with me next time I come to Pittsburgh.
Sounds good.
All right, so Kathy, why don't you tell us about your family?
Okay, so I'm married to John. We've been married for almost 20 years in November, and we have 3 children. Jaden is 13. He's soon to be 14. Nathan is 11. And Kaylee is 7.
Also, I didn't realize that you were approaching 20 years. You're slightly ahead of John and I then. John and I will be at 20 years in May. So you're like 6 months,
Okay.
6 months ahead of us. And then Kathy also, her boys and my boys through the cousins have also become really good friends, which is kind of hilarious. So when my kids go to Pittsburgh with me, they also have friends to play with. So it's been a really fun connection between the families, one that I have been extremely grateful for. So, all right. So Kathy, why don't you tell us about your parenting philosophy?
Okay, I actually discussed this with my husband because I tend to feel like I just fly by the seat of my pants every day. And so I asked him if he had to sum it up, what would our philosophy on parenting be? And so he kind of came up with the sentence. So this is from John, not really from me, so I had to tell you that. And he said to protect them enough that they are protected, but open enough to grow and explore, if that makes sense.
Oh, definitely.
And then this is both of us. We also try to parent within the teachings of the Bible. The Bible, the ways of the Bible are very important to us. And so trying to, basically raise them in a way where they're protected, but they're also given freedom as well.
Yeah, that's really good. And I would also have to say that I think most of us on a day-to-day basis feel like we are going by the seat of our pants too. I just think that when we're forced to think about a philosophy, it helps us in those moments to be a little more intentional. And
Sure.
And so even those of us who maybe like to act like we've got our acts together, yeah, I think we probably feel like we're running around in circles also.
Right.
I think we just maybe don't show it as much. But the philosophy idea is like, if you really had to think about it, you probably had more of a philosophy before your kids were born. And then you have kids, and then it's like, what are you talking about? All I'm hoping is that everybody's fed. Like,
right.
And then when, things settle down a little bit again, you can start
Right.
feeling like you're being a little more intentional again. All right. What has been your favorite thing to teach your children?
So I thought about this, and it took me a while to come up with something, but I really like to teach them Bible songs, the songs that from Sunday school that we all grew up with.
Yeah.
Like This Little Light of Mine and Deep and Wide. Jesus Loves Me, of course. But it was always fun for me to hear them then singing them in the house or while they're playing on their own or humming them. even those songs when they would come on in the car, that was fun. Yeah. And then I also, as they're getting older, that was when they were younger. As they're getting older, my middle son, Nathan, he loves to bake. So I'm enjoying working with him with baking and cooking, and he specializes in flipping pancakes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then also, as you know, I've heard you reference this, boys are crazy and physical, and they're always touching each other. And so trying to teach them, you know, oftentimes, and I do this myself, is just sometimes just focusing too much on the negative, and they're picking on each other. And my oldest is very strong-willed and likes to pick on his little brother. And so just trying to teach them to be an encouragement, and oftentimes I'll quote them the verse about, you know, building each other up instead of tearing each other down.
Right.
So just trying to teach them that.
Yeah.
How they can encourage one another. Believe me, it doesn't always work.
No, of course not. But then again, we don't always do the things we know we're supposed to do either. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can quote the verses ourselves, and that doesn't mean we're always doing them.
No, not at all.
All right. Well, on the other side, what has been the least favorite thing to teach your children or watch them learn?
Well, I think the most popular one would probably be the potty training.
Right.
And I actually got to the point with my first one, you know, I'm going to potty train, and I'm going to set aside all this time and these days. And I just got to the point where I just got really, really frustrated. So I gave up and decided I'm just going to put the potty in the bathroom. And I told him it was there. And I just decided, forget it, I'm done. And then one day he called. I was downstairs. He was upstairs and said, Mom, I went potty. That was it. He was potty trained pretty much from that day on.
That's awesome.
And then Nathan was pretty easy. He was like that too. So I kind of used that theory with him, where I just put the potty in the bathroom and showed him and said, when you're ready, go. And he kind of picked up on it. Kaylee was a little bit harder.
Okay.
She took a long time to catch on, and she was afraid of the big potty. So we would have to carry the little potty everywhere with us. And we went on a trip one time, and I had bought just one of those. It was a Minnie Mouse, like a plastic one that you put on the toilet. And she was afraid and wouldn't go. And we were in Washington, D.C. at a hockey tournament. My oldest son plays hockey. And I pretty much spent the entire time in the bathroom, or not in the bathroom, but in the hotel room with her. And she wouldn't go. Oh. She wouldn't go. So that was it was a challenge. Yeah. But she's 7 now and potty trained. It took me a long time convincing her, you're not going to fall in the toilet. You're not going to fall in. It's okay.
That's funny that without a prior experience, that would be such a strong fear. You know, like that
right.
would be, you know, it's not like it happened and then she was afraid of it. She just was afraid of it. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, what would you say has been a high moment in parenting for you? Something that is just like a warm parenting moment in memory for you?
Well, I think, it's kind of like my high and low moment go together.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that often happens.
I would say, my low moment, I think, in parenting is dealing with my child that's strong-willed. He's been a challenge ever since he was born. And my husband and I joke because we say that he got both of our, bad personality sides into one. And so when he was small, he was a challenge. And my mom's advice was that to be consistent with him. And I tried to take that advice, but I wasn't always, because as you know, we get tired and weary. And it's hard to be consistent.
Yeah.
Being consistent often means when they're small, getting up and dealing with them, not just sitting back commanding orders, because they don't listen to that.
Right.
At least that's what I thought. I know they're all different, but he just, that's not how he responded. And I would say that my low moment, and even up until now and throughout, is spazzing out on them. I just get to the point where, I'm just done. And then I feel horrible. Yeah. And that's the tone in the house for everyone.
Right.
including my husband
Right.
and then me and then the kids, and we're all just, in the temper. And so I really have struggled with that. And so I've tried to kind of take a step back and take a breath and try to deal better with the situation. Now that he's older, he's able now to realize that, he's able to explain his feelings more and why he's reacting the way he's reacting. And so to turn that around, I would say that my highest moment is just watching him grow, and then when other people now will compliment him or tell me, your son said this or that, and that was like so nice, and he's so respectful, and then just like the consistency of I'm hoping that what we've instilled in him, it's not us, it's God,
right?
But that God uses us to be an example to him, and when others compliment him, it's a real, or compliment him, to me, and say something positive or something that he's done. And this is kind of funny because we went to a parent-teacher conference, and the teacher starts explaining him, and we looked at each other, and my husband said, "You know that we're Jaden Teach's parents, correct?" And she said, "Yes." We're like, "Oh, okay."
That's hilarious.
But he's really growing. Strong-willed is hard. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not. And I know you've shared that you have one. And then on the other hand, like Nathan is just very opposite of his brother. But he's tender, and he's sensitive, and he's caring, and you see all that. And we have a time in our church where people have an opportunity to share, and Nathan's been doing that.
Oh.
So that's what I would say, that my high and lows kind of all mixed together.
Yeah, I relate quite closely with the strong-willed child, and I've joked with him that he's been causing me issues since before he was born, because he was the only one that, as a pre-born baby, when he would kick, it hurt, like consistently hurt. I'm like, you have been causing me problems since like before you were born. He also was the only child who was late, like past the due date. And mine
was a month early.
Oh my, yeah. So and so we also joke about like how strong-willed children, directed correctly and grasped by the Holy Spirit, do really big things in life.
Right.
It's just really hard to let them live that long.
Right.
Like, obviously, I don't mean literally, but like sometimes it's just so frustrating when they're children and they don't want to be parented, but they need to be parented, and it's so difficult.
Right.
But I agree, like the moments where you watch that maturity and you watch the struggle lessen and you notice how God has worked in your own heart to craft the way that you parent that child. And then you also watch as God works in your child's heart to change the way that they react in situations or the way they react to you in a situation. And it's a really amazing transformation.
Right. And I have a strong will, and so my will has to be a little bit stronger than his. But I also have times where I have to apologize to him because the way I react to him is just not correct. It's not biblical. It's not.
Right. But I think when you model that, when you know that you have reacted incorrectly, and then you model the repentance and the humility to say, like, I was wrong and I'm sorry. What a teaching moment that is for his heart too, to know like even adults need to say they're sorry, and even, like, as opposed to this fake expectation that somehow you reach a point where you're no longer doing anything wrong anymore. And, and so instead you can be like, yeah, you need to see that I know I'm wrong and I'm willing to say so.
Right. Yep.
But this parenting thing is challenging.
Sometimes,
some moments I'm like, okay, this is good. It's heartwarming and rewarding and fabulous. And other moments you're like, this is heart-wrenching and heartbreaking and hard. And I'm just, it's like, wow, what a roller coaster it is. because it can be either one of those at any given moment for each of the kids. So
right,
so
right, and they're faced with so many challenges.
Yes,
these days
they
that
are.
they weren't necessarily, so
Right.
old faced with, but
Yep.
it's true.
Yeah, it's tough stuff. And it's funny because when they're really young, everything is time consuming and energy consuming and tiring and all of that. And like the days seem long because it's just so consuming. And then you get into that zone where, everybody's a little more independent and things are a little bit simpler. And then you roll from that into the teenage years where you watch as the issues become bigger and the stakes become larger, and
Right.
you watch as they as they're developing, and just some of the emotional things that are part of that, and worrying about their emotional and spiritual well-being. And it's interesting how it morphs and changes over the years and just requires different parts of the parenting heart and mind and things like that.
Right.
All right, Kathy, what do you do for self-care? How do you make time for yourself?
Well, I don't always, but I feel that it's very important to.
Right.
And just to, encourage the moms out there, I think it's really important to take time for yourself. As moms, as women, I feel that we give so much to so many people.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's not a whole lot left.
Right.
And so I find it important to figure out what recharges your batteries.
Yeah.
For me, it's a bunch of different things. I love getting together with my sister, with my friend, especially with my best friend. And kind of a funny story that I had. It has been a while. Like, both of us were just running crazy, and we decided that we just wanted to see each other for a couple minutes. So we met each other in the McDonald's parking lot and had a McDonald's frappe. And it was just fun because we were able, even though we were in a McDonald's parking lot, we were in the car, two of us, able to have a couple minutes with each other, and it was refreshing. And so, it's just funny. It's just little things.
Right. But I think that's an important point too, is that this doesn't have to be some huge blocked off batch of hours or weekend on your calendar in order for it to make it happen. Sometimes it is hey, do you have 20 minutes? And, and sitting in the car and enjoying, something or nothing, and just sitting and talking. And, whatever it is. And I think sometimes we get hung up on the not being able to make the big things happen. And so then we keep saying, in an ideal world, we would do this. And then in the meantime, you're doing nothing and you're getting more and more depleted. And so I think sometimes it's all right, well, what do you have time for?
Right.
And, sometimes it's 20 minutes in the McDonald's parking lot with a best friend. But then you probably felt ridiculously better after the fact.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, even, sometimes a phone call with a friend just to kind of vent or talk. I enjoy my alone time as well. I like to read. Sadly, my iPad's kind of taken over my reading. I like to search the internet a little bit. It's downtime.
It is, I was going to say, it counts. It's downtime. Yeah.
And then often, for those people that are really close to me, I like to occasionally, I love to cook. So occasionally I'll make meals. And then I'll just send messages saying, there's dinner in your fridge.
Aww.
Which kind of recharges me. I love that.
Right.
I love to love on people. So, kind of fun.
Yeah, that is a fun way. Yeah, and that's a point that I feel hasn't really been brought up in the idea of self-care before, is those ways that you can be giving to someone and yet it is still a recharge for yourself. So what's something that brings you a lot of joy to do for someone else? And just that's such a cool idea. And I'm sure it makes you excited all day long about the idea of them finding it in their fridge. And then the excitement of when they finally find it and message you, and just, you're right though. That is a way to recharge. And
Right. Or a text on the way home saying, hey, I put something in your fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it.
Fun.
That's a great idea. Okay, what is your favorite life hack? The thing that you have found for your family that makes life easier in some way.
My favorite, well, it's a place.
Okay.
It's probably one of your favorite places too, and it's Aldi.
Oh, yes.
Aldi blessings is what I call it.
Oh.
So there's often times where I don't have a lot of time, and a lot of times it's after I've been at Life's Key, the prison ministry that I volunteer at, where I have to run in and get something quick for dinner and get home. And it'll be something on my list, or they'll have something discounted at a ridiculous price that they've never discount, but they do sometimes when I'm in there. And I don't know, I just have really been blessed by Aldi.
Yeah.
Which maybe sounds crazy, but
not to me. Like the fact that I can feed our family and not spend a fortune is a blessing to me. It is a life hack. It is something that makes my life better, because not only is it cheaper, but it alleviates that stress point of it being too much money.
Right. Totally agree. So that's probably my favorite life hack.
Me too.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. All right. What is your favorite parenting book?
Okay, so of course James Dobson, The Strong-Willed Child.
Yes.
I've referred back to that several times.
Yes.
And Ron Hutchcraft.
Okay.
Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
It's 5 Needs Your Child Must Have Met at Home.
Oh.
I did a Bible study with that book and really, really liked it.
Oh, that sounds really good. So what would you give as a word of encouragement to that weary mom out there?
Okay, well, I kind of took this from a lot of the other blogs. What really spoke to me is just to remember that, like, the days do seem long, but the years are super short.
Right.
And so I would say, to take a step back, to embrace the moment, to breathe, and not to be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
I agree. And, as moms, I think that's really hard to do, or to give ourselves permission to do. And I think that's where the rest of us moms also come in, or something like this comes in, to stand alongside the mom who's having a really hard time with that, and to be like, hey, it's okay, or to just be like, yeah, been there too. Like at some point, some of those things become laughable memories. And, and just, it's okay. It's okay not to feel like you have it all together. It's okay to have terrible days. And then I also like to remind myself and others that, like, love covers a multitude of sins. So you're not going to be a perfect mom, and that's okay. And the love that you show your children covers up a lot of that imperfection. And I just think that's, a real encouragement in those long days.
Right, I do too. And, I've realized that I thought, when they get older, it's going to be easier. And I wouldn't say that it's harder, but I would just say that it's different.
Yes.
Like each phase is different.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. In some ways, some aspects of it is easier, because it's not the same, like, day-to-day physical care. But other aspects are harder, and it's just kind of like, it's just a different balance. And
it's different.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing all of your experiences and thoughts as a mom. I appreciate you as a mom. I appreciate you as a friend. And I just really am thankful that you let me ask you these questions.
Thank you. And I appreciate you too. And your friendship means a lot.
Yeah. I also want to say that, you leave. So first of all, you've never left a meal in my fridge. Okay. So I guess the fact that it's 5 hours away might have something to do with it. But I would have to say the sentiment that leaves the meals in the fridge is something you have done for me, where you have texted me randomly, where it feels like to me completely out of the blue that you would be texting me. And it has been a huge encouragement to me. So thank you for having a spirit of encouragement and for sharing that with others.
Oh, good. Thank you.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again sometime soon.
Okay. Thank you so much. You
All right.
too.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on the No Mom is an Island podcast. We hope that it was an encouragement to you wherever you are in your mothering journey. If you would like to share your story or would like to see something added to our interviews, please contact us at nomomisaniland@gmail.com or send us a message on Facebook or Instagram. If you have enjoyed listening to the stories of other moms, there are easy ways that you can help this podcast continue. Please check out the episode description to see those ways and also for information on the books that Kathy spoke about today. Thank you for listening.